Welcome to new subscribers. Good day everyone. This is Vedozabat. Today I'm going to be reacting to this video regarding of the big news that have been happening around the world, especially in US. As we know, America has a new president and the stock market just kept going up and down at the moment. A lot of people don't know what's going to happen. And hey, it just hit home. Just hit near home now in Australia. As I know it was going to happen, but hey, the U.S. just might put a tariff on Australia export import products. So yeah, it's kind of like said, it's already happening between the U.S. and the neighbors. And
now he's coming for us. Yep, President Trump's tariff war is heading down under. So just how much could it cost us?
All bets are off in the world trade sphere now.
We are not being carved out. We're not being left alone.
Another day, another Trump punch. But this time, it's us in the firing line.
Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff. Aluminum too.
So we might be get it done with Canada and Mexico. But hey, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Let me know, guys, on down in the comments. I know it's always a bad thing because the price go up, regardless where you are. But yeah.
25% for both.
Trump announcing blanket 25% steel and aluminium tariffs on
Everybody.
We've been caught up in a global trade war.
The consequence, steel and aluminium will become more expensive for buyers. Demand likely to plummet.
It's going to hurt the Australian economy. We're an exporting nation.
Last year, Australia exported $640 million worth of steel and $440 million worth of aluminium to the US.
That's definitely a big trade between Australia and US. Especially with aluminium.
It said that you are considering an exemption from Australia on steel. Is that correct? And why?
I just spoke to him, very fine man, and he has a surplus. I mean, we have a surplus with Australia, one of the few. And the reason is they buy a lot of airplanes. They are rather far away and they need lots of airplanes. And we actually have a surplus. It's one of the...
I mean, it is Australia's far away from the rest of the world, It's hard when you tell someone, oh yeah, come visit Australia, or have you been to Australia? They be like, nah, it's too far, Even I met a lot of British, like they somewhere in, they go somewhere in Bali or Thailand. But when I tell them, oh, have you been to Australia? They're like, nah, mate, it's like too far or too expensive. I'm like, how is too far? It's like 8 hours from Southeast Asia. But yeah, we are too far.
And they need lots of airplanes, and we actually have a surplus. It's one of the only countries which we do, and I told him that that's something that we will give great consideration to.
And would you consider one for the UK as well?
Well, we have a huge deficit with you.
He's trying to carry that out, but we have a job to protect the Australian people.
So what advice would you give Albo and Kevin Rudd, for that matter, in dealing with Donald Trump?
And guys, Albo, it's not your Albo, is Albanese, which is our Prime Minister. One thing you will hear about Australia, people love to shortcut everything. So words are always, being shorted here. Names, they always get shorted here, So yeah, Albo is Albanese, which is our Prime Minister.
But we have a job to protect the Australian people.
So what advice would you give Albo and Kevin Rudd, for that matter, in dealing with Donald Trump?
I think the best piece of advice to anybody dealing with Trump and the administration is just be on the front foot, be confident, go in there with constructive proposals, don't take a back foot, because these are people in the White House now who are used to rough and tumble. They've come from like real estate development, private business, where they're used to having, contretemps over deals. They get to a bottom line, they all sort of agree on it, then they have a drink and they move on.
Arthur, you've had some dealings with Donald Trump.
That's definitely would be good, in Australia, sending a few construction managers to deal with Donald Trump, and afterward they will have a beer. So that would be a win-win for Australia
foot because these are people in the White House now who are used to rough and tumble. They've come from like real estate development, private business, where they're used to having contretemps over deals. They get to a bottom line. They all sort of agree on it, then they have a drink and they move on.
Arthur, you've had some dealings with Donald Trump. How do we go about resolving this now? Because I think it's at all like a big misunderstanding. I think we're talking about aluminium and he's talking about a product I've never heard of called aluminum.
Well, this is.
Yeah, it is funny. I know the topic is not funny because a lot of business they might lose, their deal or even the company, because a lot of people they have to deal with America, sending steel or aluminium. But yeah, in Australia we call it aluminium, not aluminum. But again, it's a different story. But just want to put that out there.
How do we go about resolving this now? Because I think it's at all like a big misunderstanding. I think we're talking about aluminium and he's talking about a product I've never heard of called aluminum.
Well, this is right. We're divided by a common language.
Exactly.
And I think what we should do is send you to the United States to try and resolve this, because clearly you've got to the bottom of what the problem really is.
Thank you, Arthur. I would love to go to America. Vegas.
Vegas, right away. Oh, man. That'd be good. Send him there to deal with Donald Trump. But again, I said, send Donald Trump some, good old, construction managers from Australia, some all might to go and deal with Donald Trump.
To try and resolve this, because clearly you've got to the bottom of what the problem really is.
Thank you, Arthur. I would love to go to America. Vegas, here I come.
Arthur, you've never actually met Sam Taunton, have you?
No, not Vegas. Not Vegas. Mar-a-Lago for you, mate. Mar-a-Lago now. That's the centre of the universe.
Hey, and that's where Trump make a lot of his meeting, in Mar-a-Lago. So, hey, he hit it on the nail right there, guys. Head right on the nail.
Arthur, you've never actually met Sam Taunton, have you?
No, not Vegas. Not Vegas. Mar-a-Lago for you, mate. Mar-a-Lago now. That's the centre of the universe.
I'll get my golf clubs out. This has worked out very well.
Arthur, we appreciate
That's it. You're framing this in a way that doesn't make any sense. Tariffs not about.
So apparently, one of this, not the one on the green. The one on the green is a business, person. Just because he's wearing that, it doesn't mean it's not maybe he just have a day off. But he deal with a lot of export import, so he knows a lot about it, and he's just gonna be talking to the mega supporters, try to make him understand, whatever you hear from the other people is not the truth. So hear it from him, So he's gonna explain it. What's tariff mean? And is it going to help America? It's going to help, America is not the only country that they want to make sure the economic is prosper. All other countries as well, including here in Australia.
No, not Vegas. Not Vegas. Mar-a-Lago for you, mate. Mar-a-Lago now. That's the centre of the universe.
I'll get my golf clubs out. This has worked out very well.
Arthur, we appreciate
That's it. You're framing this in a way that doesn't make any sense. Tariffs not about equalization, right? They're about access to the marketplace.
Okay.
So you cannot say, like, for example, a company in the U.S. may feel that a certain technology from a different country is advantageous, they can sell it here at a profit, right? That doesn't mean that the US government or some Chinese or German or Australian company has some kind of like equalization calculus that they're engaging. Oh, because we're sending our products there, therefore it's good that we're bringing it. That's not how tariffs work. That's not how tariffs work.
But the trade relationship between two countries, tariffs come into play with the trade relationships between countries.
That's why you have free trade agreements, right? But it doesn't mean that even within the free...
And that's a lot of Australia and the UK had, include the US, the free trade agreement. And it kind of helped the small businesses too, guys. It's not just the big guys. It's always helped the small business. So yeah, it's sad, that we are, here now. As we know, the world is no longer isolated from each other. We're much closer, even though countries are far away, but we're still closer, by trade or by just, citizens, going to those countries for a holiday or for shopping. So yeah, we're not isolated as before.
Tariffs come into play with the trade relationships between countries.
That's why you have free trade agreements, right? But it doesn't mean that even within the free trade agreement there are not tariffs. There are multiple millions of tariff agreements between countries. The European Union may have free trade agreements within it, but there are products that go out that are still tariffed.
Yes.
But it's still the consumer. But the consumer, I absolutely assure you, I do this for a living. The consumer bears the cost. Now, it may be that an imported product, even with a tariff, supplants a domestic product. But you don't want that, because that's going to affect American jobs. If there's one thing you should take away from this extended conversation, is you are always paying the tariff. Me, you, everyone here is always paying the tariff.
Fair enough.
There is no economic reality in contradiction to that.
Okay,
It's like, simply put it, guys. So you buy one apple, okay, from, let's say, here, Australia and New Zealand, okay? So you buy one apple from New Zealand, and the apple is like 50 cents, New Zealand, okay? By the time the Australian government put the tariff up, the guy that's selling the apple, you have to sell it for 70 cents, from 50 cents to 70 cents, okay?
You know what? I'm not educated in that. Fair enough. Yeah. I'm willing. Yeah, okay.
I really love your work, man.
All right,
Follow
thank you.
all socials. It's great to meet you.
Thank you,
so much.
man.
Have a good
Cheers.
day.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
In interviews in the run-up to his inauguration, he does not care. He never.
So at least he said, I'm not well educated in those sort of understanding what tariff mean. Does it help the country? Does it help the country? Does it help big businesses? Does it help the small business? So, at least it's...
Thank you, man. Cheers.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
In interviews in the run-up to his inauguration, he does not care. He never cared. And I can show you exactly where he told you that he does not care.
It's a very simple word, groceries. Like almost, who uses the word? I started using the word, the groceries.
I think, again, with the U.S. president, like, saying who used the words grocery. Family, people who have kids, people who want to make sure their kids have food when they go to school, have food when they come out. Right now, they never know what's go to shop grocery is, because somebody's doing it for him. So yeah, it's sad. The family, they're the one get affected with these prices going up.
Vote for Trump means your groceries will be cheaper. It'll also bring your grocery bill way down. I have more complaints on groceries.
When you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs.
Where the price of bacon, the price of lettuce, the price of tomatoes, bacon, lettuce, tomato, everything is so much higher than it ever was.
We're going to bring those prices way down.
Because people can't afford their groceries, and they're going to be affording their groceries very soon.
But in his Time Person of the Year interview, Donald Trump finally admits it's very hard to bring those prices down. He also said energy is going to bring costs down and a better supply chain. He's already promised to boost oil and gas production. But here's the thing to keep in mind. American energy production is already at an all-time.
Largely agree that Trump's tariff plan.
I mean, there's more cars on the roads than ever before, guys. You guys know. Most people, they own 4 or 5 cars. Electric cars, they're not really ideal. That's the world we're living in.
Will reignite inflation and slow U.S. economic growth.
The cost of living for the everyday American and how much we pay at places like the grocery store here is a major concern for the everyday American. And now the latest inflation report indicates that the cost of food and energy continued to climb in January, hitting 3% for the first time since June of last year. Consumer prices rose 0.5% from December, resulting in an annual inflation rate of 3%. That's according to the latest Consumer Price Index data released today. This is higher than what economists expected. So this means prices are still rising faster than what we are used to in this last decade before the pandemic. And complicating the picture are the uncertain impacts of new policies under the Trump administration, like tariffs, which could exacerbate inflationary pressures in the months to come. With local gas prices experiencing already a seasonal uptick, an expert with Gas Buddy tells me how we will have to keep an eye on that potential economic impact as well. However, he says North Carolina oil industry likely won't take a direct hit from those.
The U.S. and Canada are hitting a boiling point.
So this one here, like the U.S. and Canada tariff deal, that they just I think it's on hold, But again, I thought Canadian and American or U.S. citizen are really close, Because remember, guys, before 9/11, Canada and America, there was no hard border line between them. A lot of people, the citizens, they used to walk across Canada, and the Canadian citizens, they used to walk across the U.S. So it wasn't that tough borderline as as now. Like there is tougher because after the 9/11, but after whatever that's going on now with the economic, I think it's going to be hard between the U.S. and Canada really to see eye, because Canada try to, show the world that, hey, we don't depend on anyone. We're a sovereign country. We're going to, deal, with our own issue. We're going to fix everything for our people, which is their citizen. And the U.S., they should look at Canada and say, look, you guys are our relative, our closer cousins. So, we should make a good deal, but it's not what's going on at the moment, It's like opposite to what people vision Canada and U.S. Relationship should be.
And Canadians are taking matters into their own hands, starting with their shopping carts. A massive wave of patriotic spending is sweeping the country, with hundreds of thousands of Canadians vowing to ditch American brands in favor of homegrown alternatives. The movement, dubbed Buy Canadian, is growing at lightning speed, with online communities swelling to over 500,000 members.
And that one, guys, it's got to be like the same situation what happened after the COVID. How a lot of people, they didn't go back to work. A lot of people, they really changed the way they live. A lot of people changed their lifestyle. A lot of people, there was a lot of changes, after the COVID. So with this economic war that's going on now, I think there's a lot of change going to happen. A lot of countries, they're going to start looking at their products and say, you know what, I'm going to support my local, farmers or producers or people, bakery, or people that you really, that live near you, and, you should be looking after them, go and buy stuff from them rather than looking from outside. So that's what's going to be, after this. Canada is going to be like, you know what? We're going to start buying Canadian. We're going to, depend on Canadian.
Social media feeds are packed with proud shoppers showing off their all-Canadian grocery hauls, while supermarkets are plastering shelves with bold Made in Canada signs. But this isn't just about skipping Starbucks or swapping out Kraft mac and cheese. It's an economic statement, a loud and clear message that Canadians won't be pushed around. The spark? U.S. President Donald Trump's looming threat to slap a hefty 25% tariff on Canadian goods.
That was the economic war that's happening at the moment, tariff with the U.S., taking tariff on its neighbors like Canada and Mexico, and now it's coming to for Australian who import like metal and aluminium. So this is the type of the thing that really the world that want to happen, because now everything's gonna start going up. Again, is it benefit the country? Because I know America looking at themselves now and saying, "Now we want to look after ourselves," which is fair enough. Every country should look after themselves. But yeah, me, I'm gonna be supporting Australian-made product. Always gotta look for Australian-made product. Support their business, support the local business, and that's the only way. Here in Australia, we should support our small businesses. So I'm for that. But out of that, hey, let's hope all this economic war is gonna end soon, because end of the day, it's just gonna affect everyone. Well, this is very awesome vibe, guys. I'm from Australia. Like this video, subscribe to my channel. So until then, have a good night, guys.